right. Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Tacobout Live with Frank and Manny here in Del Rio, Texas. So we're glad to have you here this morning. How you doing there, brother?
Hey, bro.
Got
Another day.
another day, man. Another day. Another Taco Tuesday. We're already at episode 44, man. So that's pretty exciting. Got about 6 more to go into episode 50. And then hopefully soon, God willing, we'll be up to episode 100. So I want to thank you all so much for joining us here today on this Taco Tuesday. This Taco Tuesday morning. Of course, later on, you can see the replay or whatever here later on podcast, as well on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music. And so we ask that you also like and share. We're also on Rumble and YouTube for those of you who want to move away from the Facebook platform. We're also on Rumble. Trying to get on a couple other more platforms as well as time goes on. So hopefully we'll be able to do that as the audience grows and man, but we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about this weekend. It was a fun filled packed week, I guess you can say, man.
Yeah.
Border Patrol here in Del Rio apprehended over 2,500 illegal aliens, and of course they also had an incident there in Brackettville, Texas, with the DPS as well, or DPS had an incident with the smuggling case, and so but folks, there's a lot happening, and so we got some pretty big stuff to share this morning, right, Frank?
Yeah, it's been pretty kind of busy. Running around. We had received word that one of the things right off the bat, Manny, that people noticed. I haven't posted about it yet, but we had a great visitor come down to this area. I've been contacted by some folks that wanted to get some information about what's happening. Now, everybody likes going down to the Rio Grande River,
Right.
Rio Grande Valley. And as you'll recall, folks, there's 5 sectors in this area in the state, 5 Border Patrol sectors. And but we managed to convince these folks to come down here because of a couple of different unique things. Look, Del Rio sector is a focus sector, Manny, for Border Patrol operations. They've been getting now for several years a beef up
Right.
of resources, agents, money for structures, and it was partly because they knew something was going to happen, and so sure enough, we see that the epicenter has shifted from Del Rio. That was with the Haitians last year,
Yeah.
but what the long-term epicenter, the long-term focal point in this part of the Texas border seems to be Eagle Pass, because they've got Eagle Pass South, which, from our years in the Border Patrol, Manny, that was actually one of the heavier stations in this sector.
Yep, exactly. That's why they built Eagle Pass South.
Eagle Pass South. And then we saw the expansion through the addition of soft-sided, processing centers. And when we say soft-sided, it's because they're not, brick, mortar, steel structures. These
Right.
are actually like a canvas-like material. So anyways, they expanded Eagle Pass South so that they could increase the processing capacity, just to deal with what's going on.
Yeah.
But now they're building a new one. It's a what they're calling a combined processing center, CPC, and it's going to house, various elements of DHS in there. But all they've done, folks, all they've done is, open up the pipeline even bigger to make processing faster, to get more people through what appears to be now the focal point, and a more streamlined process in this area through Eagle Pass. And so, I mean, it's kind of one of these things, Manny, where that NGO down there, Mission Border Hope, is operating on full cylinders.
Yeah.
They even expanded their facilities. They got a warehouse. Now they're adding this CPC, Combined Processing Center,
Yeah.
where they're going to have officers from different organizations there, within CBP, within DHS.
Yeah, within DHS, and I think a lot of people don't understand that's pretty huge. That it's not a CBP facility; it's a DHS facility. And so, I mean, they're going to have all kinds of agencies from DHS in that facility, for the purpose not to alleviate illegal immigration, not to alleviate illegal crossings, but to process these mass numbers faster.
More people, faster. And so, as a friend of ours uses, when you got a sewer water leak in your house, you want to get to the root cause. Instead, what we're seeing here, folks, is they're raising the roofs, they're building more walls. Well, they're just raising the roof to allow greater capacity.
Yeah.
They're just going to allow more people to come in. And, what's interesting about that, they're using DHS officials, man, is because, because of the immigration authority.
Right.
So normally Border Patrol agents would process anything, would deal with anything coming between the ports of entry.
Right.
At the ports of entry, we had CBP, O's, Customs and Border Protection officers. They're within the Office of Field Operations. And so now what they're going to do is they're going to bring down more immigration authority, immigration certified
Right.
officials
Right.
To come down here. ICE, probably asylum officers,
Yep.
Judges, etc. They're just going well, I don't know about the judges, but they're going to bring more officers here
Yeah.
to process faster, get more people out the door. And part of what they're also doing, Manny, is that they're trying to make this clinical. They're trying to hide this from the view of the American people.
Yeah.
See, I just got word yesterday. I was talking with a gentleman works within DHS, and he was telling me that the port of entry here in Del Rio, there was some communication, and of course we can always, we should strive to verify this, but normally these are good sources. They don't want to repeat the spectacle. They don't want to repeat the horrible optics
Yeah.
of last year when they had all these people underneath the bridge. So they're going to be moving people out from under the bridge. They don't want to hold them there again. And so what we need is for our fellow citizens in our communities, in these border communities, to be on the lookout for structures that are going up, like the one we're going to show you here in a few minutes. But be on the lookout for activity, folks, because look, in their rush to further aid and abet this invasion, this desecration, this shattering of our sovereignty, as they move to move more illegal aliens into our country. Safety for our community seems to be a secondary issue because they're putting these facilities in neighborhoods, and in the case of the one in Eagle Pass, right up on somebody's backyard.
Right up in somebody's backyard. There's housing area. There's a housing area there. There's people that work there. I worked in Eagle Pass for many years. There's kids who get picked up, by school buses, so go to school and whatnot. And it's right off the side of the highway. But Frank, you said earlier about judges being there. We don't know if they are or not, but that makes sense. It makes sense to me. That they would, because in having DHS, a facility. One of the reasons that DPS, a lot of people, ask me, why can't DPS, deport them? Because they can't delegate. I mean, they can't, how do you say?
Execute immigration.
Execute immigration authority or determine alienage on people, entering the country illegally. Even though they see them coming across the river, the authority hasn't been delegated to them to determine alienage and to execute immigration authority. But if you have a DHS facility like this with DHS judges, with DHS officials there, they can delegate this authority to just about anybody, and it's kind of in the sense of deputizing, right? And so but is it going to be for the purpose of deportation?
Exactly.
I don't think so.
You hit the nail around the head too. So folks, you'll hear the cry out there. Extend 287G. So 287G is an authority, immigration authority, and there's people out there talking about granting 287G authority to state law enforcement,
Right.
to DPS, maybe down to the county sheriff level. The only problem with that, Manny, is you're still not getting to the root issue now.
Yeah.
The deep underground root issue is problems in other countries, corruption in other countries, economic situations in other countries. That's part of it. Then as you move up toward the service, you got these NGOs that are involved, shadowy globalist agenda, world movers, world players and actors. But right here at our border, the issue is we're dealing with the effects of what's going on in other nations. We're dealing with the outcome of plans to flood our nation with illegal aliens, to destabilize our social fabric, to destabilize our resources, to break our system, to affect our elections. Some states like New York, 30 days you're living in the state, you can vote regardless of citizenship, etc. So 287G, folks. Yeah, you give more officials, the authority to deal with immigration matters. And so, what are you going to do? You're just not going to put more processors at the table
Yeah.
because until we get these people, and as a sovereign state, say you have trespassed into our state. Yeah, it's our country, but this is our state now. We're getting down to constitutional issues. And so building more centers and getting more boots in the ground and throwing more money at the problem, extending 287G, which is that immigration enforcement authority to other agencies other than, actual immigration officers. Folks, all you're going to do is just create more processes,
Right.
get more people into the system, yes, who will be eventually released into our communities. We just need to take a stand and say, this is our home. You're not going to walk into our home without permission. And if you come into our home without permission, we're going to show you the door and we're going to tell you to go back to where you came from.
Right.
And you do it the right way, you do it the legal way, you do it the time-honored way, and more importantly, you do it the civilization preserving way.
Right.
Because legal immigration preserves a civilization.
Right.
It preserves sovereignty. It preserves law and order. And so when you allow it to be done the way that it's being done right now, it leads to chaos and lawlessness. The spirit of Antichrist is in the world, a spirit of disobedience, folks. And so we said it before, Manny, as ministers of the living God, that there is a battle going on as well.
There's
Good
a battle
versus
going on,
evil.
yeah.
But anyways, just wanted to address the whole, more money at the problem, more resources, extend authority. Look, folks, until this state, through our legislature, and through our governor, declares an invasion to batten down the hatches, to close down our border. If we capture you in our country, in our state, illegally,
Right.
you're going to be returned immediately because you did not do it the right way. And then you hear that argument. It's a federal issue. What can the governor do about a federal issue? I'll tell you this, bro. I'll tell you this. If your freaking house is on fire, using that logic, if your house is on fire, well, I'm not going to put it out because I'm not a fireman. I'm not going to turn on the water hose. You're having a heart attack on the ground. Well, I'm not going to treat you because I'm not a freaking doctor. I'm not a paramedic. Look, folks.
I'm not going to call you a woman because I'm not a biologist.
It's the same logic, bro.
throw that in there.
This is our home. We can, and it's the same thing. When you're being attacked in your home, when seconds matter, the police are minutes late. That's why you have to be prepared to defend your home. It's the same principle,
It's
man.
the same principle.
And look, these are timeless principles. We're not making anything up here, folks. And so,
Yeah, because we tried this. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
we tried this years ago when we had remember we had DROs. They would transport the illegal aliens, to the
Detention
different
removal officers.
And so they delegated immigration authorities to them so they could determine alienage, but it wasn't for the purpose of deportation. It was for the purpose to help us process.
Yeah.
And that's all it was, just so they could take sworn statements on how did you cross, where did you go, in just travel information, and so they could take sworn statements so that the illegal aliens can raise their right hand and say, yeah, whatever, the statement what I'm saying is true, and these DROs could process and help us process faster. Because back when I first got in, we were catching a whole bunch, 100, 200 per shift, in great numbers, but we were deporting people, we were returning people. There was prosecution going on. None of that stuff is happening right now.
And if it is, it's very minimal. I mean,
Very minimal.
I spoke with a person who's a public defender, actually, and there's still some going on. But even then, on their side of the ball, Manny, they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because look, I mean, it's just common sense. You open up the gateway, more people are going to come in. There's going to be an increase in everything, an increase on the strain on Border Patrol to process, increase on the strain on law enforcement to get those that are not willingly turning themselves in,
Right.
strains on our resources, strains on our support structure. I mean, even strains on buses.
Yeah.
You try to rent out a van, a 15-passenger van. You say you want to take a trip, a Boy Scout group or something. You can't find them.
Yeah.
Because everything here is being used up. It's a strain across the board, folks.
Yep.
And that's what happens. Just like sin has consequences, decisions have consequences, elections have consequences, and so this open borders invasion by invitation, as somebody said, invasion by invitation is going to have dire consequences.
Dire consequences.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
And so,
And it's a shame, man. It's a shame. Democrats, I put the blame not solely on Democrats because one of the biggest fights we have right now within the Republican Party are these RINOs, who, by the way,
open borders infiltrators.
These open border infiltrators, who, by the way, are the ones who propose these processing centers.
Yep.
It wasn't the Democrats that really, the Democrats are, worked with them, but the reality is it's a RINOs who propose these things. But what happens is, every time a Democrat comes into the presidency or into office, or there's a Democratic administration, they want to avoid bottlenecks, in the immigration issue. So what they do is they declare amnesty, and then we get flooded. But this isn't even an amnesty, folks. This is a zero enforcement of any border patrol or immigration policy by this administration, and so that's the big problem that we're facing. And so one of the things that we noticed, Frank, when we were down here with down there in Eagle. I'm sorry, I'm hearing myself.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're down there in Eagle Pass, and I posted on our webpage. So I'm gonna pay. We were down there with General Flynn, Michael Flynn, and it was an awesome experience. It's an awesome experience, being able to explain the border situation to him and seeing his response and whatnot, and what's going on in there. And when on our way over there, we passed by. We really didn't know what this facility was because it's not marked. That we saw going up. We kind of, had our inclinations and had our ideas about it because it looks so similar to what's happening at Eagle Pass South Station. So we decided, well, there's probably another processing center. And then you stopped by later. Well, actually, we got information later that day that it is a processing center, and it's a DHS combined processing center.
Let me just add a little bit of context to that as well. So. There have been rumors, folks. There have been rumors that a refugee camp was being put up, that it was right next to the National Guard, because further up the road where this facility is being built up, literally, as we speak, is the National Guard camp down there in Eagle Pass. So it's right next to it. But there have been rumors of a refugee camp from folks that are not within DHS. But talking to DHS, they knew that this south side of facility was going to be going up on 131. And it had been in the work for a little while. The one thing about it, Manny, look, this type of facilities, folks, are all over the border now. They're popping up. And two things, they're costing you tremendous amounts of money. We are paying this. The American taxpayer is paying for this. I've heard everything, bro, from $6 million a year to $18 million a year. The Donna facility, Donna, D-O-N-N-A, Donna, Texas. There's a big facility down there. I've gone down there. I've filmed. Bro, it's probably about 4 times bigger than the one. And this one's looking like it's going to be a monster compared to, what we've seen, like at Eagle Pass South. It's the same material. But anyways, down at Donna, folks, I've heard $18 million a year to run these facilities. I was talking with a guy who would have some information about this. Once again, sources, folks. Up to $50,000 a month for those buses. For the buses, bro. So it's costing a lot of money. So that's the first thing about it. Billions of dollars now. And they're just throwing this money, printing. You want to know why we got inflation going on? It's a multitude of factors, but it also has to do with the funding of our own invasion. Americans, Texans, paying for their own invasion, paying for their own demise, paying for their own downfall of our civilization. That's what we're doing, folks.
That's exactly
Through
what
our taxpayer dollars, that's what's happening right now. But the second thing, and something you brought up earlier, it's not just Biden, guys. It's not just the socialists in control of the Democrat Party, people. You need to wake up. Freaking wake up. You have so-called Republicans within what is now the globalist-owned party. It's turning into the globalist-owned party, folks, with people that are in bed with these enemies of our nation, in bed with the socialists, in bed with Biden and his brand of Democrat, folks. That's what's happening. Yep. So when you were talking about earlier people proposing this, Senator John Cornyn and Congressman Tony Gonzalez, Republicans, teamed up with Henry Cuellar and out of Laredo, and Senator Sinema out of Arizona, and they proposed a minimum of 4 of these silent mega processing centers.
Mega process.
So what you guys need to do on the phone, folks, is today get on the phone and call your Congressman Tony Gonzalez here in Del Rio. Ask for Fagan. That's her last name. I'm trying to remember her name right now.
Michelle, is it?
Yeah, Fagan, Michelle Fagan. Anyways, call up and tell them to stop building this facility. We don't want the sewer pipe to get bigger, folks. We want the sewage to stop. We want this water gusher dam pipeline to shut down. We don't want it being built earlier. So call your congressman in this district 23, Tony Gonzalez. These are popping up in his district. Why? Because he opened it, he invited it, he okayed it, he proposed legislation to fund at least 4 of these mega processing centers, folks. And it is happening under the watch of Tony Gonzalez. This invasion, folks, is happening under his watch. There's a reason that the swamp, there's a reason that the establishment, there's a reason that George Soros and Kevin McCarthy wanted Tony Gonzalez in office, and they maneuvered things out of Bexar County. There were shenanigans, there were dirty tactics, there was fraud, honestly, that took place out of Bexar County. Remember Rachel Rodriguez, bro?
Yeah.
She was the one that was caught ballot harvesting.
Yeah.
There was a big story about it. Project Veritas exposed that. There's a reason that you have sitting right now in 823 miles of border, a LULAC Open Borders Amnesty, George Soros puppet congressman named Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, and
this is why.
Yeah.
Call him and ask him, hey, Tony Gonzalez, are you happy now that you're getting your wish? We're building asylum mega processing centers in your district.
Yeah, folks, and the information that me and Frank have gotten this week is just incredible. Yeah. It's amazing. I don't even think we can fit it in all into this program here today, because we're going to share some more stuff with you here as well. But when you look at these centers, Frank, I don't see any Democrat AOCer coming over here dressed in white, protesting or crying or calling out Tony Gonzalez, for making these processing centers, which, by the way, are going to house juveniles, minors. And why isn't anybody over here crying out about it? Why? Because he's in bed with them. One of the biggest fights that we have in the Republican Party are not Democrats; it's RINOs, folks. Yep. And so we need to put people in office like Frank, who's running for, who's God willing to be on the ballot, run against Tony Gonzalez. But put people like him in office. Veteran candidates, Raul Gonzalez over there in District 24 for the Senate. Get Pete Flores out of there. Put Raul Gonzalez, Raul Reyes in there. And folks, we got a lot of people who are willing to fight the good fight, but we got to get behind them. But anyway, Frank, you went back over there to go check out that facility, and this is a thing that I have an issue with, a big time issue with. You can see it from the highway, right? You can see it from the highway. There's no markings. There's nothing that says what's going on. There's no barriers that says no filming. There's no barriers that says no media, nothing like that. There's no signs whatsoever. Folks, it's being built right on the open. You go out there, you can see it. You pull up next to it, you can see it.
Yeah.
Why are these facilities and why do these people respond to us? Whoever, every time I want to get information, like we're the criminals, like we're the violators. Why is it so secret? I don't understand it.
Yeah, there's no markings on it. Look, honestly, part of the reason, bro, is look, there was emergency funding that's been dumped into this border issue. So the normal contracting processes and all that stuff, it's all being fast tracked. No bid status. People need to look into the agency, the group that's actually putting this facility up. When I was there, I was given a card to a company named Deployed Services, and
that sounds like a Blackwater type.
Yeah, they're popping up all over the place, and right now as we're looking at our feed, we got this guy, one of those Aztlan movement guys. Folks, Aztlan, it's a name for a mythic, fantasy claim that people have that the southwestern states still belong to Mexico. So you'll get this Aztlan type of people get on, and there's one right now hopping on our on our feed here. It's talking about these are stolen lands, and so Juvenal, go back, talk to the Aztecs and the Mayans, and
talk to the Mexican government, bro, and ask about the Toltecs, and ask about the treaties that they in fact signed and agreed with to give up the land. Anyway,
he's jump on. He says. These Mexicans that were raised on the border. Look, we're Texans. Yeah. Hey, we're Texans. Go wipe away your tears there. We are Tejanos, we're Texans, we're Americans. We have both served in our nation's military, ready to fight for these blessed, great, awesome United States of America.
Yeah, we can
for
go
this
through a
great
whole
state of Texas.
yeah, we can go through a whole history lesson on this. And anyway, that Aztlan movement. Anyway,
Yeah, he's
you know,
probably gonna go wave his flag in his basement somewhere.
yeah, and the reality is, Frank, these housing centers that we're going to show you, this housing processing centers, not housing. The majority of them aren't Mexicans.
Yeah.
That it's going to be housing. The majority of them are OTMs,
From all over the world.
from all over the world, over 120 some odd countries, over 167 countries, I believe. This last week was this last count was coming through this area,
insane.
and the majority of the ones that have been returned under Title 42 are Mexicans, and we have some also news on Title 42 as well, but. I want to go real quick to this video that you shot over there at that processing center. You're there, just keeping people informed, and I queued it up to this troubling portion of your video that really bothered me. This guy's not a security guard. We don't know who he is really. Frank is down there, by Eagle Pass area, by the Eagle Pass municipal airport there, and he's filming the facility, just giving information on what it is. And this guy just rolls up on you like he's some type of Gestapo agent or some type of, I don't know, a high security or, but anyway, it gets real secretive, and it's amazing to me what he does. But so let me go ahead and put this on the screen here. Let me raise up the volume here, and I'm just gonna show a real quick video of it. Oh, let me raise up the volume.
To process more people faster, to get these people into the country faster. Yeah.
Are you with?
Yeah. No. Hey. Wait. Yeah, I am a private citizen journalist. Why are you coming up on me? Oh, hey. Give me some space here, sir.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm a private citizen, sir.
Gotcha. Do you have a card on you?
Do I have a card?
Yeah.
Who are you, sir?
I work here, sir.
Oh, you work here. Okay. Yeah. So no, I'm just filming here. This being paid by taxpayer dollars, sir.
Sir, I'm not answering your questions.
Okay. Well then, I'm gonna ask for you to.
ask you to please.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave, but give me some space, buddy. You don't.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you
Please.
came up all aggressive, man.
Sir,
Yeah, give me some space, brother. I am leaving. So you have this guy that came up, man. I thought he was gonna freaking throw me down on the ground the way he came up on me.
Bro, I don't, it's amazing to me, Frank, the way he comes up on you like that,
Yeah.
and just like he's gonna. To me, it looked like I thought he was gonna bum rush you, bro.
Well,
to tell you the truth.
And it's kind of like that little disclaimer in mirrors, objects look closer than they appear. Yeah. I mean, the camera doesn't do it justice. Actually, he was right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was literally right there, and I was like, whoa. I mean, he came up hot. It's one of those things. I mean, folks, we've taken years and years of defensive training, defensive tactics, etc. The guy was fixing to grab and probably toss around. He was going to do something physical. Good for him. Good for me actually as well. Of course. But look, that's the thing, folks. That technically, we as American taxpayers, we as American citizens, have a right to know how our tax dollars are being used, and more than that, it's an obligation that we have to demand accountability and transparency from our government. That's a great American, aspect of our nation. It's a great principle, and then that's what makes us the greatest nation on the face of the earth. Is that we have these timeless principles, and people can't understand that we have to flex those muscles. We have to exercise those rights. And so what I'm doing down there is exercising the First Amendment right of freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom, of course, to address grievances, redress grievances with our elected officials, with our officials. And so,
it's amazing because when he walks up, the first thing I thought is like, well, who is this guy? Frank, you and I have been in law enforcement for many years. 25, you over 30 years, and anytime you approach anybody, you identify yourself.
Yep.
You identify yourself. You create space because you don't know who you're approaching either. I mean, every time I approach somebody, I always created space. There was always, because I don't know who I'm coming up against. I don't know this guy's background. So the way I interpreted that, the way he rushed up on you, is like, if you didn't turn around, I thought he was going to tackle you, bro.
Yeah.
That's the impression that I got.
He was pretty close, and it wouldn't be the first time. And it's kind of ironic, that there's people willing to suppress the rights of American citizens. There's people willing to use force on American citizens. And so, look, this is the epic struggle we're in. This is like, legendary, level interactions that we have going on in our country right now, folks. Not just on the border. I mean, there's so many issues. You know, the whole abortion issues just come up, and so yeah, we should be on the side of life. We should be fighting for life. We should be, defending the unborn, who are human beings, who are created in the image of God.
Yeah.
And we definitely need to be fighting for that. But there's a whole host of issues, range of issues here. And
So my question, I mean, why being so secretive? I mean, why try to hide it if
I think, Manny, it's happening so fast.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, it's happening so fast that they're not. It's I guess you could say hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
Because people, as you're driving down the highway, you can look over and you can see it. You can see this center being put up. They're not hiding it per se, but they're definitely not being fully transparent, and it's going up fast. Normally the way we've seen government projects before. I mean, we've had interactions with the military, Department of Defense, who's building projects for Border Patrol. There have been contractors who will be building facilities, and they normally put up, signs, this project being put by whatever.
Yeah.
This sign is
they advertise? Yeah.
yeah, they'll tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
Even for city projects, county projects, etc. So this is a U.S. federal facility being put up with no information out there for anybody to see. We did get that card that says that it is being put up by Deployed Services. And so,
But instead of going through all that,
Uh-huh.
where they just rush up on you,
Yeah.
they could have somebody out there greeting, hey, with a sign, things like that. There's ways to go about it. But, my opinion as well, Frank, is that what's happening is this administration and these RINOs that are here in office depend on the ignorance of the American citizen.
Yeah.
And depend on the idea that the American citizen is not going to get involved.
and the complacency, bro.
The complacency,
The
you're exactly right, yeah.
complacency, the unwillingness to engage. Look, and this is what's going to happen. Look, we get into the fight, folks. There's going to be mudslinging. There's going to be, actually even at points outright danger, as we have seen that the left will, use violence, etc. But complacency is a huge part of it. Just this whole aspect of sticking their heads in the sand and not wanting to engage. I don't know if it's denying reality. I've heard it too from folks, Manny, as I'm gathering signatures to get on the ballot. Why do I get involved? Does my vote even matter anymore? I'll register.
But that's what they want you to think.
That's what they want you to think.
That's what they want you to think.
And that's what happens is that a few people allow an even fewer number of people to dictate the laws or regulate the lives of the majority.
I mean, look at here the news here in our local elections. The low voter turnout.
Yep.
For these local elections, then people are going to wonder why things remain the same. And they don't get involved. Frank, you and I, like again, former law enforcement, former military. Folks, and this is I'm not trying to down anybody or any loss of life in law enforcement, but one of the biggest reasons that law enforcement officers get hurt or lose their life is complacency.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that line of duty does happen in law enforcement, I'm not talking about Border Patrol, I'm talking about law enforcement wide, is complacency. And see, in the reality is, we go out there with vests on, we have our weapon, we have all these tools and these resources, to help defend citizens and even ourselves. But the greatest enemy is complacency.
Yeah.
You can have all the tools, you can have all the trainings, but when you go up to a traffic stop and you approach it as a there's no such thing as a routine traffic stop. I even hate that when they put that on the headlines. Officer killed, routine traffic stop. There's no such thing as a routine traffic stop. You go out there and you just treat it as any other traffic stop, folks. That's how people get hurt. Yeah. And the reality is the same thing goes with citizens. If we become complacent and this becomes normalized, folks, like it is here right now, and even in our local community, there's tons of buses all over the place. There's illegal aliens walking. My wife and I were coming back from San Antonio. We saw a line of illegal aliens on the side of the road. Thank God we weren't driving on the shoulder, because sometimes when you let vehicles pass you, here in Texas, you pull over to the side. Bro, there's a line of illegal aliens walking over by Bracketville on our way in that we couldn't see. And I was like, oh, praise the Lord, we weren't driving on the shoulder, because we could have hit them. But folks, complacency is the greatest enemy And sad to say, people are willing to be complacent, and sad to say, people are even willing to give up their constitutional rights for what is happening here. And this administration and these RINOs depend on the complacency of the American citizen to push their agenda.
Yeah, and at all points in this national tragedy, at all points in this, you know, tragic story, bro, is that life is being endangered.
Yeah.
Human life, regardless of nationality.
Yeah.
Look, it's not that we're anti-immigration. It's just we are for legal
immigration.
controlled immigration.
Yeah, nobody's saying that immigrants can't immigrate to the United States. Nobody's saying they can. They must do it the right way, though. That's always been the issue. That's always been the way. This is why we have immigration laws. This is why we have border patrol. This is why we have ports of entry.
Yeah.
Other countries you go to, except for Europe right now, because they're completely open borders. But you see what's happening. You saw how you see how
the
Europe,
results of that.
Yeah, you see the effects of all that. And eventually, and sad to say, this administration, the Democrats, the liberals, the leftist liberals, and including the RINOs with this globalist mentality, look at Europe as the model. And folks, it's a failing. Continent out there. It's a failing, the government out there in the European aspect. But the reality is, folks, is that we need to defend our borders, and we do that civilly first. Put the right people in office. Let's get our votes out there. Let's get people in office, and so who will defend our rights, and put the right people in there who will do so and be a voice. Go out and collect signatures. Go out and gather information. Before we lose more time, I got a call by an insider within a certain agency that deals with all this, because we posted the other day, or we're talking about the other day, these illegal aliens that are coming across and getting sent to the NGOs. Once you get to the NGOs, they're given smartphones, right, so that they can be kept track of. Well, I got a call the other day, brother, and that. What's happening once these illegal aliens get to their they're getting the smartphones at the NGOs. They're getting processed by Border Patrol, getting turned over to the NGOs. The NGOs then charter the buses. They take them to the points of destination. But once they get to the points of destination, the majority of these illegal aliens, Frank, are going into the local ICE office, turning in their phones or their ankle monitors, and then they go on their merry way.
They disappear.
They disappear.
So, and of course, it makes sense. I mean, they willfully broke our laws to come in. They came in as illegal aliens. They don't regard law. They don't regard, our sovereignty. And so, of course, it makes sense that they don't want to be tracked.
Yeah, they don't want to be tracked. And so they're told, this is what they're told: go get a smartphone, go get your own phone, load down this app so we can keep track of you. And so you're trusting these people who already disregarded our laws, right, to go and do what is supposed to be lawful, right? And then the worst news that I got when talking to my sources was that now they're getting a whole slew. Because I asked him, so the majority of illegal aliens that you're dealing with, what are they? And he said, well, they're the majority that we're dealing with are single adult males with children. Yeah. And I said, what? And I asked him, how old are the children? He said, under a year old. Because we can't interview the children, so, and so they can't tell them if this is their parent, if this is their relative, if this is their guardian, whatever, and then they go on their merry way.
So two things about that, bro. Two things about that. Single age, military age young men coming in. Two concerns that every American should have, every Texan, every homeowner, every family, every person that has children in their household. You need to be concerned about this, that as we've seen lawlessness growing in our nation, bro,
right,
with this propensity for people to immediately respond to mobbing and rioting and crime that's plaguing right now huge cities like Houston and Dallas, bro. They're having major problems with crime out there. Speaking with a reporter about the Houston area and what's going on out there. But so that's one aspect of it, is we don't know who these people are. We don't know what their intent is. Only God knows their hearts and their minds. Not everybody's bad, but look, all it takes is one person to cause grief for another person.
And if one child is just trafficked, bro, that's more than, that's too many.
Yeah,
that's too many.
And that's what's happening, is that children are being trafficked. See, that's why we were against this open border, green light, invasion by invitation policy that was set in place. The second thing about it, though, Manny, is you'll hear people get on and try to present their liberal leftist ideology talking
Yeah.
points here. But this is the reality. Why are these young men and young people not staying home and fixing their country? Why are they not engaging in their government, in their communities? Why are they not, seeking entrepreneurial opportunities in their countries?
Yeah.
And so right off the bat, well, their country's jacked up, their country's corrupt, their country's poor. And so honestly, Manny, how is that our priority for us? Why is that supposed to be a priority for Americans? This is our country. We have our own problems. We have our own issues, and
We have our own poor, yeah.
And we have been benevolent through the ages. We sent young men to the foreign shores of Europe and throughout other parts of the world to fight for oppressed people, to fight for against tyrants. With their political reasons behind that, of course, is always going to be the underlying issue. But definitely in the case of Nazi Germany, bro, that there is a huge aspect of our young men and went down there and did a tremendous thing. That's why they call the greatest generation.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, why aren't these young people from other countries staying home and fixing their problems? We have problems here in America, and we haven't seen anybody leave our country to go fix problems, to go be somebody else's, ward or go to another nation. I mean, yeah, you'll get the liberal Hollywood and others, public figures here talk about leaving our country. They don't leave. Why? Because America is still the greatest nation on the face of the earth. But those are the two main things as I'm thinking as you on the last thing you talked about, Manny, is that young military age men coming into our country by the millions.
Yeah.
And why are they not fixing their home? There's so much pride of nation and orgullo de la patria.
Yeah.
Why don't you stay home and fix your country? If you're so proud of it. And
or like this Aztlan movement. If you hate this country so much and you wanna take it back, then go over there to Mexico, go over to that country, get on board with their government and fight for whatever rights you perceive that they have. In regards to the United States. But when I was hearing that, when I was talking to that my Soros brother, it was sickening to me because they were a lot of them were bringing in children, and infants, toddlers, that they couldn't interview and say, hey, is this your father? Is this your, and then the asylum questions, brother, were basically like they didn't qualify.
Yeah.
And so and then they just walk out the door hoping that they'll put that app on their phone so that they can be monitored or where they're at, where the location's at, and then they have no idea where these children are.
And I too, Manny, have been reached out, folks, just not beating around the bush here, but specifically ICE personnel.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are seeing this dynamic at work inside these communities. The other thing about it is that they're getting in those brown manila envelopes that they get at the NGOs. They do get cheat sheets on how to try to beat the asylum questions that they're going to get.
Yep.
So this is very orchestrated. It's an invasion, no matter what you call it, how you want to paint it. An invasion plainly means the mass movement of people or mass movement of any type of thing. You can have an invasion. A bird invasion, bug invasion.
Yeah.
Human body can be invaded by deadly.
But historically speaking,
infections or whatever.
But historically speaking, an invasion and immigration like this, from other countries, historically speaking, has really adversely affected nations. Almost to the brink of self-destruction.
And that's part. And we said it many times here. The downfall of the Roman Empire had a lot to do with, of course, economic different aspects, but certainly a part of that was mass migration as wars pushed in and collapsed the Roman Empire, caused people movements, and so that's what we're seeing is definitely people, the movement of people, and America, that's the one thing, Manny, that the 50 states did agree on was almost unanimously was a single naturalization process.
Yeah.
because you can have 50 different states having 50 different naturalization,
Yeah.
protocols, policies, whatever, and how to become an American citizen. I mean, just think about it. Somebody would say, well, Texas is tougher than Alabama. Alabama's tougher than Mississippi. Whatever. I'm going to go up north to Iowa because their naturalization process is a lot simpler.
Right.
No, that's why the 50 states, they were able to agree on a naturalization process, and of course, it was executed through our Congress the way it should be. But anyways,
And in 1924, Border Patrol was born.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
help enforce those laws.
what's kind of cool, man? Well, look, there's two things. About May 24th is going to be the anniversary for the Border Patrol.
Anniversary for the Border Patrol.
That's also the date of the runoff elections in
Wow.
Texas, bro. May 24th. That's when we got some key ones. Land Commissioner, we're pushing for Dr. Tim Wesley at the Land Commissioner position. Of course, that we got the Attorney General, and right now it's Bush globalist versus Paxton.
Yeah, don't fall for that last name, folks. Just because his daddy was a president, don't fall for that last name.
Yeah, and then all you got to do is look at the endorsements.
Yeah,
who endorsed the
yeah.
globalists.
Globalist.
But anyways, the other one, of course, is right up the road, Senate District 24. Our good friend Raul Reyes
Yeah.
is in a runoff against a former senator in Senate District 19, Pete Flores. And let's just remind people, bro, that it was under Pete Flores that a lot of this framework started getting put in place. And so when Texas has held the state legislature, certainly you would expect the border representative, the border senator, to be tough on national security, to be tough on community safety, protecting our communities. That comes through strong national, defense, comes through national security, a secure border, a controlled, regulated immigration. And so he basically failed at that, bro.
Yeah.
And so that's why Senate District 24, vote for Raul Reyes.
And put people in there who will enforce our immigration laws, and because, folks, the reality is all these processing centers, all these fences and stuff like that, when we first came in, and even when President Trump was president, the reality is we didn't need any of these things because many people knew they were going to, when they get caught coming here illegal, they were going to get returned. They were going to get deported. Smugglers are going to get prosecuted. Folks, this is zero enforcement of any Border Patrol policy. Right now, there's the talk about Title 42 being lifted. If that happens, folks, the information that we got is that it's not just a handful of illegal aliens that are going to be coming across that are waiting, folks. This is going to be a tsunami.
The word's out there, bro. It's shown up different places, forums, etc. It's out there, whether CBP admits it or not, DHS admits it or not. But there was a very high-level meeting this past week. By accounts, it was on Thursday of last week. Border Patrol chiefs from around the nation were flown in, and basically told that they must prepare for up to 1 million people at the onset of Title 42 being repealed.
Wow.
This is multiple sources, multiple forums, multiple social media postings, and it's on the forums, etc. They were told to prepare for at least a minimum, up to 1 million people. That's crazy, man. Look, I had seen a report where I believe Mayorkas himself had said up to 500,000. So that would just totally be such a devastating blow on the process that we have in place, and that's why you have all these moving pieces, but that's why Del Rio sector has been a focus sector, and that's a very specific term. Focus sector in Border Patrol lingo means they're going to get the lion's share, or they're going to get a high
resources,
increased resources, and that's why they're building these facilities down there. That's why it's gotten quiet down here on the border as far as, remember when we had DPS, Border Patrol all over the place? They're getting ready, folks, for something that's going to be not dramatic, tremendous, what can you say, monumental, gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not enough adjectives out there to say what it's going to be like, but we're already seeing it. I was talking with a gentleman yesterday. He was going down Eagle Pass to the casino.
Right.
And he said that as he was going through Normandy, and folks that live down up and down in this border region, that Quemado and Normandy, just north of Eagle Pass, have become they're the epicenter down there. And there was a white bus off the side of the road. There's a little feeder road that goes to the pecan orchards down there by La Mosca, down there where they have the dairy farm and the fly. They raise flies down there. Bro.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there was a bus and just a long line of illegal aliens, invaders who were waiting for their bus trip.
Yep.
And so
Groups of, I think, 100 at a time.
Yeah.
I think within 15 hours, they said they encountered over 300.
Yeah.
Within 15 hours.
and they're operating so he was headed down the casino, so it was probably he didn't say what time it was, but look, folks, they want to make it clinical, surgical, very packaged, streamlined, fast moving, because out of sight, out of mind. Just move him through. Oh, and then so that's the other missing component to this. So talking to folks that live in Mexico, talking to people that live in Mexico about, and the natural question is, ¿qué está pasando ya? What's going on over there? ¿Qué están mirando?
I'm sure they're tired of it too.
What are you seeing? So what they're seeing, bro, right here in Acuña, is Mexican authorities routing, pushing people down towards Piedras Negras.
Wow.
And so think about it, folks. As Mexican authorities are rerouting people down towards Piedras Negras, which is across the river from Eagle Pass. It's in Coahuila. Piedras Negras means black stones. So they're pushing them down there, and concurrently, on the U.S. side, they're building up. So it's a collaborative effort. And so what you got to think about is, what exactly did Abbott talk about with the governors of
Because
these
there has to be
states?
communication, brother, on
There
both
is-
sides.
Well, remember, we have the International Liaison Unit.
Yeah.
We have a Border Patrol. When we say Border Patrol had International Liaison Unit, we have officials in our American embassies and Mexico, et cetera, across the world. We have DHS personnel. We have ICE personnel. We have Border Patrol personnel, Office of Field Operations personnel, forward deployed in embassies under the authority of the ambassadors for those nations. And so, no doubt, Manny, this is collaborative. It's coordinated, and part of it is, push people towards Piedras Negras, where on the American side, we're, through taxpayer dollars, beefing up the capacity and the capability to accept those not to accept, but to process those larger numbers of people. And so look,
And for those numbers to be willingly accepted, that's amazing to me.
and so look, folks. I mean, golly, we'll talk here till we're blue, red, green, white, yellow in the face here, trying to tell you to wake up, to get engaged, get involved. Part of what you can do is like, share, follow, put information out. Get involved with other advocacy activist groups that are out there that, are, for instance, tomorrow, the 11th, right, there's going to be a group of people meeting in Austin, Texas. It is being put together by our good friend of the show, but our friend as well, Sheena Rodriguez. Sheena Rodriguez is going to be convening a group of citizens, concerned citizens in Austin, because there's an agricultural committee meeting going on.
Right.
But they're dealing with, part of what they're dealing with is the effects of the border invasion, on ranchers, farmers, et cetera. So there's more information out there. Sheena, Sheena Rodriguez, is out there putting that together. But anyways, it is, Manny, part of a larger picture. And remember, at the onset of the Biden administration, they went to the United Nations and said, help us. And so someone that we know very well, Ben Bergquam, who travels around the world with One News Now, I think is who he's with, or one of those groups. Anyways, America's Voice. Anyways, he's been around for years, but he actually went down to Panama, and we have been getting word. We have been receiving word that there were operating bases, processing bases in Panama, and the other country is Peru. And so he went to Panama and actually filmed United Nations migrant centers, facilities down there. So there's still research going on into that. There's still people looking into that. But this is what they're looking for: are American officials, forward deployed American government officials, at those UN soft-sided facilities, at those UN camps, uh, and what are they doing with these migrants? Part of what one of the things that's transpired here, folks, we receive reports that when agents are processing these illegal aliens, they're already popping up in the system. And these are first-time apprehensions. In other words, it's not a recidivist type of thing where they've been caught, return, whatever.
Yeah.
These are first-timers, but their faces, their pictures, their information is already in the system. So as you sit there and ponder and contemplate and analyze, how can that possibly be? Well, part of it, Manny, is if the Biden administration, who reached out to the UN, who is working with NGOs, working with George Soros, working with globalists, working with corrupt, complicit American politicians to fund these operations, it's not beyond conceiving that these forward deployed officials are working with entities down there, whether they're NGO, private contractors, etc., inputting people. That official would then look at the information and say, yeah, good to go, feed it into the main system.
Right.
And so that's why they're popping up over here at processing stations. And so if I'm elected to Congress, that's certainly something I'm going to be looking into.
I would hope so, and that's what I was about to say. I was about to say, Frank, if you get into Congress, I pray that you would look into situations like that, because we need people who's willing to question and willing to say, hey, what's going on here?
What's our total involvement? How much money is getting spent? Who are the players? What is the process? And that's why, look, folks, as we move forward, I have right here in front of me, this is a petition. I'm circulating a petition because I need 500 signatures to get on to the November ballot. And so, man, every day, man, I've been out there working days, evenings, etc., gathering the signatures. But that is one of my main priorities, if not probably the number one or two priorities, to look at these non-government organizations, look at the funding, look at the players, look at the process. And so what's going to happen, Manny, when you go after the cash cow, all the people that have been milking it are gonna label you as the number one enemy.
Well, I'll tell you, the incumbent right now has been coming after you. You're not even on the ballot yet.
I'm not even on the ballot. I haven't even submitted a candidate application yet.
And
the guy, his new nickname. We got several nicknames. Tony NGO Gonzalez. Tony the Traitor, Tony the Rhino. Well, Tony the Terrified. Tony the Terrified is pretty scared, bro. Terrified Tony knows not just that his incumbency is in peril here, but look, Manny, the cash cow is being threatened.
Right.
They are rerouting. They are laundering, washing, moving your money, American taxpayer money, and this is part of how they're doing it. His bedfellow Endeavors Corporation, Tony's, friend and who he's in bed with, he's actually housed in their facility in San Antonio. They were investigated by the Inspector General of ICE, of DHS, who oversees ICE, and they were looking at Immigration and Customs Enforcement contracts that were given to Endeavors, $88 million. $17 million were not used for the purposes they were intended to be used for. The natural question is, what happened to those $17 million? How did it go? Where? How was it used? Where did it go? What's up with that money? Where's the paper trail on that money? So a person like Tony Gonzalez, it's not just about his incumbency and what that means for him, the role, the position, whatever. Responsibility, obligation don't mean anything to him,
right?
Because he's already been malfeasant and traitorous in those actions.
And basically bought and paid for,
Bought and paid for, but what it is the money.
Yeah.
And so, folks, when you go and you start threatening the money, the cash cow, they're going to fight hard for that. They're going to get dirty, mean, nasty, maybe even outright dangerous.
But even to the point of betraying our country, that's what pains my heart so much, and this is why we need the right people in office. We got a couple minutes, and I want to really just touch upon really quick. There's the possibility that Title 42 may be lifted. Not knowing really what direction it's going to go. This administration is going to go. There's a stay that a federal judge had put on the Biden administration, says, yeah, we're going to abide by that stay. But the reality is, Frank, my sources are telling me that it doesn't matter, because the Biden administration is already starting to release illegal aliens from countries that were previously removed under Title 42, except Mexico. The majority of Mexicans are being sent back, but like people from El Salvador and from Honduras that were previously removed under Title 42 are being released. And so the Biden administration is saying, yeah, we're abiding by it, but they're basically just returning the Mexicans, and slyly and sneakily they're releasing into the country LSALs that were previously removed on Title 42. And then when I look at Governor Abbott busing a lot of these people voluntarily to D.C. when I was in the patrol, and I'm sure it's still the same way, MS-13 that originated in El Salvador, actually originated in the United States, formed in El Salvador, got their their power, the recruits in El Salvador, most dangerous gang in America. One of their destinations of interest is D.C.
Yeah.
And the Virginias, folks.
Yeah, when I was assigned, I was promoted to Washington D.C., but on detail out there and stuff. You remember the communities of Reston, Virginia, and Manassas, Virginia. They were in the Orange Line, west of D.C.
Yeah, the Orange Line Metro. Yeah.
Yeah, the Metro Line, and then of course the surrounding areas in Maryland out there, infested with MS-13, infested with these gangs who you just go research it. Just go look for MS-13 Virginia, and you'll read up on all the beheadings and the machete attacks and all that kind of stuff, bro. Very violent people, very and even from talking to folks of Caribbean descent, the Cubans and stuff, Puerto Ricans, it's very interesting because of course each people's group is going to have their
dynamics,
societal, cultural aspects. So very important to take that into account, folks. And so that's just flooding into our nation. But the other thing is that I've heard, Manny, is that Del Rio sector policies are actually different from other Border Patrol policies. Even in Texas, El Paso, Rio Grande Valley, Laredo, the Del Rio sector. I was talking to an agent who transferred out of Del Rio to Big Bend sector right next door, and he says, "Man, yeah, they're busy over there, but nowhere as busy as Del Rio, but also because of the policies that are in place in Del Rio." And so that's gonna require some in-depth analysis as to why
is that happening?
What is Border Patrol doing with different, that they're even treating Mexicans differently, in different parts, and of course the OTM, special interest aliens. So look, folks, all I can tell you is that it is a concerted, contrived, or conceived plan, very specific, Del Rio sector. If you're in this district, 823 miles of the 23rd Congressional District, that's why they wanted a person like Tony Gonzalez in place. They needed a very manageable puppet.
A yes man.
A yes man that would go along with him. That's why he was endorsed by the Libre Initiative.
And
amnesty group, Libre Initiative.
And I asked this question, and we got to close. And I asked this question as well the other day when we were with those visitors. Why do you suppose that these military men, for veterans like Tony Gonzalez, Dan Crenshaw, have turned into RINOs? And they're like, well, because military men follow orders. And so it's a sad thing to say, but the reality is we follow orders.
But there is a difference, of course.
Yeah, there's a difference.
There is the principled warrior. There is the principled American constitutional defender,
right?
Who recognizes that. And I used to say it. Look, the policy is just a guideline. Yeah, you can get in trouble for violating policy, but at the same time, Manny, that is not the word of God.
Yeah.
Policies are not the word of God.
Right.
And so there comes a time when you have to stand on principle, go against the flow, get ostracized, get persecuted and prosecuted, and
you can't fight without expecting to get hit.
Exactly.
And so I want to qualify that as well, because I also said that they follow orders, but there are many times when a man becomes corrupted by certain things, and they'll continue to follow those orders, no matter how corrupt they may be. Once he's become corrupted, folks, it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult. There's men and women out there that are willing to fight, like Frank. Like Frank, you're willing to fight. I'm willing to fight the good fight. Folks, get involved. And I know sometimes it seems like just a losing battle, but folks, in the end, you're a believer in Yeshua, you're a believer in the Messiah.
We win.
We win.
But
But we have to get involved. Don't get this escapism mentality to say, well, the Messiah's returning. You might just well wait for him. Folks, we got to get involved. There's people's lives who depend on it. There's children.
this is the world we live in right now.
Yeah.
And we have an obligation to it, not just as believers, Manny, but as Americans.
Right.
And we are different in the world, folks. We are American believers.
Yeah.
We are American believers. And you could argue, we have the overriding, word of God, his principles, yes, his spirit, yes. But we are Americans, and we firmly believe that providentially this nation was set up for a purpose.
Yeah.
God distinctly set up America for a purpose. And people can argue whatever, but anyways, that's what we believe. But look, folks, just want to encourage you, frankforcd23.com, frankforcd23.com. Please go look at that. That's why I'm in this run. That's why I'm in this fight for you, for me, for us, for our family, for our future, for our nation. How do you get young men and women to lay it all on the line? Because they believe in something greater than themselves, bro. And I believe in something greater than me. The living God, yes, but also our timeless principles, our Constitution, our way of life, and the bonds of family and friendship. Those things I will be loyal to, bro. But anyways, folks, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
As always, Manny and I have a lot to talk about. And as the coffee, just starts going through the system here a little bit, get a little bit more perked up and animated. But look, we love you. We appreciate you. And I just need to close out with this. No matter what you're going through in life, folks, no matter the problems, the giants, the mountains, the issues, the medical, relational, marriage, your wayward children, your body, your health, the freaking horrible bosses and horrible neighbors, no matter the problems of your life, God knows, God sees, God cares, and God is already moving on your behalf. You just got to hold on for one more day, hold on for one more hour, one more second. Take that step, roll out of bed, believe in God, put your foot forward, believe in God that he loves you and he will come through for you, folks. And look, we know that there's problems in this world. We are to be, yes, merciful. We are to be, people, act like a human to our fellow human beings. But at the same time, we do have the right by that same mighty, caring, gracious, merciful God. We do have the right to defend ourselves and to defend our home, to defend our families.
Amen. Amen. Well said, Frank. Well said. Folks, God willing, God willing, we'll be here next Tuesday at Taco Tuesday, 8 a.m. Taco Tuesday, Tacobout Live with Frank and Manny. This Thursday, I want to just give a quick shout out to HTX Renegade Radio. This Thursday at 7 p.m., Frank and I are going to be on their program.
Special show.
Special show with Simple Man and TDC. Want to give a special shout out, Old Patrol Headquarters. Thank you so much for having us on your page as well. And we want to say just thank you, folks. Continue to fight the good fight. God bless you. God bless America. And God bless Texas.